10 Words by Lynn Yates. Young, 2594. Narrated by Chloe Schwank. If a job's worth doing, Linda, it's worth doing well. Mother's high expectations taunted me all my life. An excessive standard was expected in all household chores, from the scrubbing of pots and pans with Jex steel wool until they glistened, or repeatedly making my bed until it passed Mum's eagle eye, another task being the waxing of floors on my hands and knees, before donning on a pair of Dad's much-darned work socks to skate and buff until the boards shone. Yet to no avail. From childhood, to fail became second nature for this wayward youngster who struggled with every aspect of education. "Stupid, inadequate, you are a total waste of space," was my educator's summary from primary to secondary on my future prospects. I left the system at the age of 13 without a clue on how to read or write. Due to my limitations, employment opportunities were always restricted. Most of life has been spent on the bottom rung. That's not to say I wasn't of a competitive nature. Working solo, time became my constant opponent as I continually implemented different strategies to complete all duties with the utmost efficiency. On many occasions, an employer would extend a hand of promotion. I always refused. There was something within my bruised psyche that persistently doubted my capabilities. Although many have remarked on my lateral thought processes, an aptitude driven by a very different mindset other than one of self-importance. This conviction deepened with maturity. It's within littleness that great things can be achieved. These values are not to be mistaken for low self-esteem, but rather the strength of character of a quiet achiever. Mother's words always came to the fore. "If a job's worth doing, Linda, it's worth doing well," as I performed all tasks assigned with a jovial attitude and a willingness to succeed in the most tedious duties. In 2002, I applied for a position working in a boarding house. My future employer's only concern, "You're not of a nervous disposition, are you?" "Hardly," I replied. "You will be working on your own, 10:30 p.m. to 7 a.m. "Great," was my response. "You can start this evening. I'll give you a week's trial," she retorted, with a degree of skepticism. I spent the next 10 years working in what was seen as a dark, ominous environment, but as always, life is not what it seems. It was marginalized. Those who were considered somewhat flawed who taught me many of life's valuable lessons. As I attended to the young and weary who had lived on the streets for many years, and those who experienced varying degrees of mental illness, it was the residents who enlightened me to the true meaning of the total acceptance of another human being, as they struggled with their own mental, physical, and verbal issues. It soon became apparent they were the ones who possessed an intrinsic quality to understand, freely accepting fragilities and inadequacies of others without judgment. Although housed, fed, and medicated, cigarettes and tobacco had to be rationed on the hour, or their daily quota would be smoked continuously until their issue depleted. Old habits die hard with a few individuals who insisted on doing over the pavement garbage bins for the remains of a tasty takeaway. Another considered treasure was the occasional bumper, a discarded cigarette butt found in the gutter, always sharing their good fortune with each other. There were many instances when their antics raised a smile or two. One particular occasion brought a very irate minister of religion to the office, complaining to the boss how his Sunday morning parishioners had given directly to the poor as they loitered in the vicinity of the church, leaving the priest with an empty plate. Oh dear. So many different characters unashamedly true to themselves, although faced with varied, confronting situations. Each resident, in their own way, struggled to contain the voices that raged within. Medication often failed as their condition escalated. Certification was the only horrendous procedure available to try and gain some sanity in their dark, foreboding world. A poignant reality that one's life can change in a blink of an eyelid. Anyone at any time can be robbed of normality, as not all clients suffered from drug and alcohol inflictions. There were also included in the mix traffic incident survivors, drained of all sensibilities. I was often asked by many a well-meaning individual who had no comprehension of trauma and suffering, which kept these unfortunate souls trapped within their own fragile hysteria. "Lynn, why don't you find work elsewhere? That place is the pits." It's reality. It's me. What you see is what you get. I prefer it to the false persona of normality, was my truthful reply. Although it has taken me many years to appreciate Mother's critical eye, I consider these 10 words. If a job's worth doing, Linda, it's worth doing well. The best advice a mother could pass on to her mischievous daughter, who now realizes the wisdom hidden within these values has made me what I am today. Retiring at 70 is a statement of humility, not pride. As each challenge life presents, I always perform the task to the best of my ability. That's not to say I achieve a perfect result. Recognizing life's trials and tribulations can become triumphs as I continue to struggle with the many different connotations of English language with an all-consuming desire to write. The traits of perseverance and resilience in my latter years continue to serve me well as I come to terms with old age. I am very grateful for my good health and the ability to grow my produce in rich organic soil. So it's amid bees, butterflies, fragrant roses and sunshine, I rejoice within peace and tranquility of each reflective new day, and there remains an undeniable sense of gratitude to a little girl's mother for a job well done. The end.